Let's create this beautiful, let's call it Christmas glam look by using, first of all, one of the palettes I mentioned on Ellamas Day 6 as one of the best Christmas palettes, which is the Cosmic Brushes Muse palette. So I will use this mainly for the mattes. But for the shimmers, I wanted to use a palette that I just have not used enough this year, that I spent so much money on, but I never really get into it because there is so much to try. But since I'm now on a no buy and there are only just like remaining packages floating in that I purchased before, I now can really fall in love with it. And we're using a couple shades from my Cleonat collection. I do have the big magnetic palette, and as you can see, only 9 shades are missing in here. So you can do the math on your own how much money I spent on this palette. I still want to fill up those 9 gaps. So Cleonat, if you see this, donation 9, ask me which ones, I will tell you which ones. But it's just so beautiful, and I barely use these shadows. But for this look, for example, we will use 3 of the Cleonat shadows. Before we head into the tutorial, just one little note, just in the spirit of the no-buy character. You do not have to have this or this. Just because I create a look with these products does not mean that you have to have these products. You can probably recreate this look by using just shades that are similar to this. For example, this matte blown out vibe is a lot of a reddish, it's a rosewood, that's literally the shade, a rosewoody brown. So many palettes have this, so many brands have this. I just thought it was very appropriate to just use a palette that I already mentioned as best Christmas palette. So please do not pressure yourself into you have to buy this, you have to get this so you can create this look. You can use everything else. For the shimmer, just a quick tip, if you want to have something foiled and intense like this, on the inner corner, or like on the inner part of the eye, the inner third, a nice gold is all you need, and for this outer part it's a coppery red. So don't think you need to have these. But now hop over to the tutorial, and maybe you want to recreate the look with the stuff that you have, then please do this, upload it on Instagram and tag me in it so I can see it. Now rewind into the tutorial portion. Okay, so I'm starting this look with the paddle shade from Muse, and I take a very fluffy brush and very sloppy bring this throughout the transition area. I'm now using Haste from Muse, and I take it on a much smaller brush because we need more precision. And I bring this now in the same area, but since this is a smaller brush, there's still enough of petal left, so you have like this gradient from the warm brown into the pink. The good thing is with Cosmic Brushes eyeshadows, the mattes are so effortless, you don't even have to be, I don't know, very skilled or so. They're super easy beginner shadows, and you can create beautiful looks, like 100% guaranteed. And of course we need Christmas warmth and depth, and that's why we need the shade Rosewood now from Muse on an even smaller brush. And I apply this on my favorite outer V area, flick it a bit outwards, and then also bring it into the outer part of my crease. I feel like I have done this kind of step so often that you might be very sick of me doing this, but this is just my personal favorite way to do eyeshadow, to create depth, to just shape out my eye shape, you know what I mean? It's actually hard to not stay in this palette for the shimmers, but as I said in the intro, I wanted to incorporate more of my Cleonat shadows because shame on me, this beautiful palette, I think the shades in here, I used like 4 of them only once. And if you ever came into touch with Cleonat shadows, you know what a shame this is. And I'm tapping into this little shade. This is foiling. This is a glitter multichrome. If you never use Cleonat shadows, be a bit careful, because if you are used to your normal indie brand shadows or like luxury high-end drugstore, whatever metallics, Cleonat is a bit different because as soon as you touch them, your brush is fucking loaded. So I take this foiling shade and I start applying this very, very gently here on my inner part of the lid. And I kind of follow my crease line to create like a fake cut crease moment. And I take the shade to the center, not much above, basically stop here. And the smaller your packing brush is, the more precision you have. I'm now using this reddish shade. This is Ring of Fire from the Deep Sea Treasure palette. Depotted is the wrong word, but I took them out of the Deep Sea Treasure palette and put them in my big one so that I have all my clay on it in one place. Again, very gently tapping in that shade because the brush, yet again, loaded as fuck. And I apply this starting here on the outside, bringing this over the outer V and then very gently tapping this to meet the foiling shade. And even with glitter glue, I do have a lot of fallout, which is to me no problem because I flick it just off. I went back into foiling and I tapped this where the Ring of Fire starts so that I get a nice gradient, flip the brush to the Ring of Fire side and so on. You know what I mean? Just flip and tap so you create the gradient. The star of this look actually is supposed to be the foiling shade because the moment I saw this, when I unboxed my Cleonet order, I was like, I need to use this exactly today. So for the lower lash line, I'm tapping into Rosewood again. And I start to smoke this here on this outer part. And I slightly flick it in because we're going to blend that out with another shade in this. So I'm going into the Haste shade again. I start blending in the center, bringing it inwards, and then also blending it out. I'm adding a colorful liner and I'm using the, what's it called? The Legendary liner from Made by Mitchell. This is the True Red. And I just lined the lower waterline with that to give it just a little bit more of a twist. For my inner corner highlight, I'm going back to Cleonet in this shade. This is Glint. And it's always a bit of a surprise because you just never know how they shift. So I'm very curious. Oh, that was a good choice. And I take this slightly along the lower lash line and now slightly into the crease. Yes, beautiful. Okay, for brow and highlight, I'm staying in the Muse palette and we're using the shade Luster. And I, as the name suggests, apply this underneath the brow bone. This has a pink shift to it and I feel like this just ties everything together. Okay, so I did fuck up a bit my lashes, but I think with the glasses on, nobody will notice and they do actually feel super heavy and are clumpy as shit, but it is what it is now. I'm lining my lips now with the Charlotte Tilbury Crazy in Love lip liner, which is a kind of magenta red. And I'm going in with the Dior Rouge Forever Liquid Sequin in the shade 620. This is the one that you apply, wait 5 minutes, press your lips together and have glitter on. I don't know if the camera picks up the glitter, I can see it in the mirror. Nobody will probably see it except for the situation when somebody's sitting like this in front of me. I cannot stress enough how much I hate my lashes today. It's awful. And this is now the finished look. What is your vision of a Christmas glam look? Let us please know in the comments down below. Don't forget to subscribe and check out the info box. We're still in Ellamas. That means a lot of videos are yet to come. And if you subscribe, I can see you tomorrow.